Mr. Bill Goldberg. How you doing, my friend?
Now, you really don't have to introduce every guest like that, but I'm unbelievable, man. How are you?
Dude, I'm glorious. I appreciate you taking the time. I want to light this candle with a couple of fun questions right off the bat. You ready?
Oh, great, yeah.
All right, man. So recently, in the past few months, you weren't so thrilled with Mr. Vince McMahon, okay? And you said he kind of backed out on his promise of a retirement match for you. So what's the status of that retirement match? What's the update on that happening now, potentially in any way, shape, or form?
Oh, God, who knows, man? I'll be perfectly honest with you. I've kind of put that on the back burner. Right now, I've segued into dad, first and foremost. Well, dad and husband and car host. I'm just having fun in my garage, man. So I really don't have a lot of time right now to dedicate to prepping for a retirement match. As well as I do, when you were a senior in high school and you were preparing to make that transition to go to college and play football, that was part of that was one of the most tumultuous times of your life. I don't know if that's the right word to use to describe it, but challenging. So I'm trying to do everything I can in my power, 24/7, to get our boy prepped for the next phase of his life. And in all honesty, that's the most important thing I could ever have going, whether I was ready to step in the ring right now or not. I put it all on the back burner, for this boy, because it's going to be tough, man. He's going to, play against a team that has to play against your alma mater, yearly. So, in an extremely long-winded answer, that's where I am, man. And yeah, Vince kind of let me down, but it's the business. It is what it is. It's kind of like football. I mean, that's like, I remember I was with the Rams my first year, and my defensive line coach told me after I tore my hamstring in the first preseason game that there was no way I was going to be cut. And lo and behold, the next week I was cut. So it's just a business.
Yeah, it's kind of funny how that works. And the word I would use for when I was getting ready to go off to college was insane. It just felt like everything was crazy. It was so scattered. I was trying to be organized. It felt insane to me. All right, so we got a couple of messages. Go ahead.
You got a kid engaged that has been. It's a long story. I could write a book on it, but he juggled two major sports throughout his entire high school career. Never could really dedicate on one of them. Now has made that choice before, his senior year that he's going to go for football. Now everybody knows he's going to Colorado, but he's still right now in the middle of a baseball season. To where, his team has been ranked first in the state. He's arguably the best catcher in the state. He's got 2 walk-offs in a row the last 2 games, and he's got a month and a half before he goes to CU to enroll in 2 courses and start training, up at the next level. So I'm petrified. It's a tough deal as a dad. Going through it yourself, it's one thing, but as a dad, it's completely, it sucks. It's great, but it sucks.
I would imagine it's terrifying. We got a couple of comments here. Danny Carlberg from Facebook says biggest with a couple of trophies. I want to give him a shout out. And Deion Pryor says, Adam, go big red. Keep sending in your comments, your questions. All right, man. So Gage is going to see you. He's going to play for Coach Prime. So talk to me, because that's a man that gets a lot of attention, a program that's getting a lot of attention right now. What are your thoughts on Gage going to see you playing for Coach Prime and walking into a situation where there's a lot of eyeballs on that program right now?
Man, the biggest question right now is how has college football changed because of the NIL? And then you walk into a program like CU's that is run by a person and a coach like Deion. I made the reference the other day. I mean, we literally committed to Colorado. To Colorado. We literally committed to Alabama. And then an hour later, that was our decision. We had come to a decision in the morning. It was the day after his All-Star game that Alabama was the place to go. An hour later, I get a phone call from Gage that Saban had retired. I'm old school. Saban stood for old school stuff. You can say what you want, but NIL truly pushed him out of the league, of his position, for one reason or another. We went from the program that was anti-NIL and as old school as you can get, exactly, to the one in the fire that's at the forefront of all of the controversy. But here's my deal again. I'm a football player. I equate life to my teammates, to my situations dealing with teammates. I was Deion's teammate. You love him or you hate him, right? I love the man because he took care of me. He did good things. He not only was the guy that was flashy and said, "Look at me," but at the same time, he would extend his hand out and help people and sign autographs and be that liaison between, the guy that you want to hate and the guy that you really want to love. Right. So it's a weird situation. It was a tough call. It wasn't my call. It was Gage's call. But as a parent, he's going, the overlying picture is that he's going to a major college program that's on the way up, that has a lot of eyeballs on it. And one of my ex-teammates is the head coach. And a number of friends of mine are associated with the program. And my family has been associated with the program throughout a number of years. So that gives me the fatherly knowledge of knowing that if the poop hits the fan, then somebody's there in a family capacity to help, period, end of story. So he didn't make a decision to go there because Deion's going to give him a starting job because he's my son. Let's be perfectly honest. This is a day and age where, coaches' jobs are on the line every game based upon the performance of their players. So if he can't cut it, he ain't going to be on the team. So it's all on him now. So it just gives me the knowledge that in the back of my mind, I've got a safety valve to take care of a human being, which just so happens to be my son, and who means the most to me than anything in the world other than my wife, in addition to my wife. So, it's a peace of mind deal. And it's a great program. He'll have a lot of eyes on him. He'll have great opportunities. And if anybody can help with the positive NIL situation, it's Deion and University of Colorado. So, and hey, my brother owns some great restaurants in Denver, and I can't wait to go there.
It's funny. I was about to mention that. So you were teammates with Deion in Atlanta with the Falcons. And then when you made your triumphant return to the WWE, it was actually at the Pepsi Center in Denver. You were gracious enough to help my son and I, Jacob, actually get ringside seats. We got to go actually to your brother's sushi restaurant afterwards. Was, by the way, best sushi I've ever had. And I remember chatting with my wife. I'm like, Ange, Jacob's not going to get to bed till like 2 a.m. and he's like a second grader, third grader, whatever he was at the time. She's like, Adam, this is a fun opportunity. Take advantage of it. And when the wife gives you free reign like that, you take advantage of it. So yeah, you have a lot of family in this area, and that is awesome. Great support for Gage. I'm going to ask you one more football question. Then I do got a couple of just general wrestling questions. But talk to me about your alma mater, Georgia. They're probably considered the top program in the country right now. How do you think Kirby Smart was able to build Georgia? Always a good program. Won the national title in 1980, but all of a sudden they've reeled off a couple recently. They're dominating recruiting. How has he taken them to that upper echelon in college football?
Kirby's a great coach, but I think his strong point is the fact that he's a player's coach. And he's a guy that you would walk in the locker room for, and after he gives you his speech, you would want to run through a wall for him. And that is invaluable. So with the team that he's assembled as a coaching staff throughout the years, and the backing of the booster club and everyone who's always been associated with Georgia, I mean, it's that they've been on the cusp for a number of years, and it took Kirby and a number of recruiting classes and a number of unbelievable kids that represented the program at a higher level, at the next level in the NFL, I think, to bring it to the forefront. I think a number of top recruiting classes year after year, and people staying their senior seasons and, fulfilling that obligation that there used to be in college football, be there for your teammates kind of deal and not really worry about yourself and your future. But, now it's a different day and age, so I get it. But I think there are a lot of things that contribute to it. There's no question that the backing of the booster club and the ability to, match a 60,000 square foot weight room that Alabama puts up, the next 2 years, and then not only not only following the top programs, but becoming the top program in a 10-year period. So he's done a hell of a job. He really has.
All right, man, I do want to talk a little bit of current WWE product. The Rock comes back, the biggest WrestleMania of all time. Cody Rhodes beats Roman Reigns. Cody finishes his story, ends Roman Reigns' 1,316-day championship reign. What were your thoughts on WrestleMania, The Rock coming back, and Cody beating Roman?
I don't watch it. I'll be perfectly honest with you. I mean, quite obviously, I'm going to hear all the news, and but I think it's a different deal, right? It's a different day and age. I think that The Rock's involvement in any way, shape, or form is going to be positive for the business with WWE, and the merger with the UFC, and all of everything that encompasses that. And unfortunately, with what happened to Vince, I think it was an advantageous time for something positive to happen. And I believe that with Rock involved, there's no doubt that it could do nothing but prosper. I think the story was told properly in the end, with Cody giving the fans, I think, from what I hear, what they wanted to see. Roman was an unbelievable champ, and for an extremely long reign. And, people have had their opinions about that, but that's over with. And now they're on to the next phase. And I believe that it's in a positive light. So I'm happy with where the wrestling business is right now. And I'm appreciative of everything shaping up the way that it did, so that kind of everyone has a smile on their face. You know what I mean? Because in the end, everybody can't be happy, but I think what they did and the product that they put out and the results that came from it were enough to satiate the masses. So, I mean, you wouldn't have mentioned that it was arguably the best WrestleMania of all time. And so going into it, people surely weren't thinking that.
Night 2 of WrestleMania is the most fun I've ever had watching a WrestleMania. So it was pretty electrifying, if you will, not just because of The Rock, but because of everything that they did with the run-ins from Cena to Taker, obviously The Rock's involvement, Roman, Cody, etc. And this is a bit of a touchy subject, so do with it what you will. I'm just going to ask it, throw it out there, do with it what you will. Do you have any thoughts on the recent Vince McMahon allegations?
No, I really don't. I mean, everybody has an opinion, and again, it's it's kind of like me asking you how you felt about your head coaches throughout the years, about your general managers throughout the years. And it's not fair for anybody to give an opinion based upon their own opinion and not be not slandered, but, run through the ringer by other people based upon what they think of that, because they weren't there. So, as in all bosses, I think, former bosses, I mean, we had good times and we had bad times, but that is what it is. And the allegations and the things that have come to the forefront over the past 6 months or a year, I have no comment on it. It's not my place. So, I think that the current situation of the WWE, or the current owners of the WWE, are going to make decisions based upon what they believe. And I think that the decisions they have made have been favorable to the masses. Again, I will be this objective guy in answering a question, but yeah, I mean, personally, I'm not going to give you an answer because that's a personal answer between he and I.
Yeah.
Professionally, that's the answer that I can give you because I try to be as professional as possible. So,
that makes perfect sense. It's an answer that makes a lot of sense. I'm that guy that I'll ask a question. People can answer however they want, and then we move on. So no, that's a very, very good answer. All right, last two questions I got for you, and I'm just kind of curious because the last time we chatted, which was about a year ago, I think AEW got brought up very briefly, and I know you're focused on other things, not really watching too much pro wrestling, the product right now. I'm just kind of curious if you've ever had a conversation with Tony Khan about ever joining AEW at any point. I'm just kind of curious if that conversation ever even took place.
I've talked to him a number of times throughout the past, but and this is where you're going to get the most blunt answer you're going to get from me. The product's too cheesy. The product is too cheesy. It doesn't deserve to have, whatever. I mean, it's not, you're really going to get me going, but if there was a comparable viable option as a competitor that would allow me to still look myself in the mirror after I was a member of their roster, yeah, then it would be a consideration, but not a chance.
All right, last question I got. This is a fun question. It's actually one of all the times we've talked, I've never asked you this question, and I don't know why. So this is a fun question because you've had matches with a lot of great wrestlers, but you've had the opportunity and the good fortune to beat guys like Hulk Hogan, The Rock, Brock Lesnar twice, once in 90 seconds. Okay, Triple H, and that's kudos to you and them working together, doing what's best for business. But here's my question. What is your most memorable match of all time?
Be more specific. All encompassing, it'd have to be Hogan because, at the end of the night, when we went off the air, the Falcons came and saved me, so as an NFL guy who didn't want to do anything in his entire life, but to be a successful player in the NFL and to have played there sparingly for 4 years and hung on every single day, and thought I was going to get cut every day, to have guys like that you admired and bled with and sweat with and, spent so much time with in the trenches, and you admired them and you wanted to be like them, to have them come to your aid and want to be in your shoes. Yeah, arguably, hands down, that was the best night of my wrestling career.
All right, beating Hogan.
Had nothing to do with the belt.
Well, when you beat a guy like Hogan, when you beat him in Georgia, in Atlanta, you got the Falcons helping you out, like I said. I still remember watching that. I was in high school. I still remember watching that at home, and that was an electrifying night as well. All right, my friend, I appreciate you joining me. I appreciate you taking the time, and good luck to your boy Gage. I'll be rooting for him, not Colorado, but I'll be rooting for him during his football career.
I would expect nothing less of you, my friend. Love you, man. Love the family. Great to hear from you again, and always best to you.